Welcome back to the True Body Intelligence Podcast. My name's Lee Maher, and I'm your host. And today, we're going to get into how do you combine all of these systems together in order to produce the profound result that you're looking for, as I'm fumbling over my lips. What's essential is that you understand is that each element within the true body intelligence system is focused on a different aspect of your being. So some of it's focused on your superconscious, some of it's focused on your subconscious, some of it's focused on your unconscious, some of it's focused on your conscious, meaning physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. We're wanting to sift through and filter out and transmute all of the aspects being expressed internally and externally in your world that are causing you to defeat yourself and limit your life expression. And what I mean by limit your life expression, I mean limit your access to unconditional love, intense states of joy and passion, powerful states of empowerment, and your sense of principle, your ability to complete the things you start, your ability to communicate clearly and be authentically self-expressed, your sense of freedom, your sense of hopefulness, your sense of intimacy. I want you to be able to have access to all of these levels of inherent intelligence that live inside of you, and yet there must be something blocking your access to them. And the only thing that is fear-based controlling mechanistic structures and strategies that were implemented long before you were born in order to allow people to survive their circumstances that were overwhelming and downright scary. And they've been passed off to you by your loved ones through your genetics and epigenetics, plus whatever karma you brought to this planet through your soul's matrix to be worked out in this lifetime. So we're here to support you, and we're here to give you as much information and access to as many tools as we can make possible for you. So sit back and enjoy, take some notes, and process, and let go, and dive in. And I'm going to shut up so we can start getting down to the basics. All right.
And we're back. Christopher, so now we're going to tie everything together. I'm excited. This is a more like an advanced part of the course, I feel. After people went through all these beautiful transformations and exercises, it will be extremely helpful if you give them some outline of how to approach their life from that point on. How do we combine all these techniques? What order should we take them in? What should we focus on?
Yeah, I mean, one, it depends on how motivated you are, right? Two, it matters how much time you have. And if you're really motivated, well, you'll create more time, right? And if you're undermotivated, then you'll want to spend the least amount of time possible. So if what you're looking for is something to add something that causes very little disruption to your life, then I think you start out with a healing bath. Like, that's the easiest thing to do in the world. Like, fill up a tub with some hot water, throw in a few tablespoons of olive oil, honey, and sea salt, and then jump in there and say some statements, right? tune yourself up, light up your frequency, and then go have a really good night's sleep. Like, that's pretty simple, right? And then, to learn other things like the body of light, transmutative meditation, that's going to call it, you got to spend some resources, right? To do your Bestercise every day. That's 15, 20 minutes. Maybe your first couple weeks might take you 25 minutes, but within at least 2 or 3 weeks, you'll be able to drop that down to 15 minutes. So if it were me, and I were thinking, God, if I could start this process all over, I could go back 23 years in time, what do I think is the most valuable? Like, where do I get the biggest bang for my buck in terms of time, energy, resources, effort? I think the body of light, transmutative meditation. That's where I would spend my extra resources and time and energy and effort if I had them.
Why specifically that?
Because I want to feel instantaneous permanent change for the rest of my life. And I know that there's things that my mom went through. I know there's things that my dad went through that were running and circulating inside of me that had nothing to do with me. My mom had her own challenges, and she never worked through those at an emotional level, and she passed those off to me. Well, do I really want to carry that burden around for 40, 50, 60 years? No. Same thing with my dad. Do I want to carry that around forever? No. So I feel like if I can unburden myself from their inner deficiencies and their insecurities and whatever karma I've created with them since my existence, then I feel like that's the first most important step. Yeah,
Okay.
so I would, and then, you think back and you think, well, you look at humans, you think, well, somebody was bullied by someone at some point, right? Somebody picked on them, made fun of them. And, if you can pull that out of the field through a transmutative meditation, for me, that seems like the next biggest, best step. And then if it goes any further and maybe you were bullied on a regular basis, or maybe you went through some level of sexual stress or something sexually traumatizing, or you went through some financial stress, right? Or you went without food for a long period of time, like these things that are much more dramatic. Well, a transmutative meditation is where I would want to start, because I would want to offload those boulders out of my river of stagnation, right? And then I deal with the smaller stuff, right? Like the physical tension that came in because of those experiences. But if I can pull out the actual root of those experiences and remove the energetic imprint, for me, I feel like it's going to make it a lot easier to pull stuff out of my body without the burden of that memory. Because your nervous system, it always wants to lean on its history, right? So if you were a drinker or a smoker or a sweet hound, which means you hog out on sugar, or you've gone through the pharmaceutical path, or you're in a recreational drug, like whatever your negative stress management tool is, it's important, one, that you're super honest about those things. But you need to know where they come from. Like, what's the thing that you're managing? Well, you're managing this stuff that was passed off to you through your genetics and epigenetics. And once you get that stuff out, then it's easier for the body to move forward without the imprint of those old experiences constantly wanting to pull it back. And so if I could transport back 23, 24, 25 years, that's where I would start. I'd find, a stress-free facilitator, true body intelligence practitioner that can walk them through a transmutative meditation in relationship to the person or the subject or the situation that caused some level of stress and trauma that was beyond their capacity to process, right? And so when a child goes through trauma, it's very different than an adult experiencing something, right? So, and you're 3 years old and you get in a car accident versus when you're 38, right? That car accident is going into the memory of a precognitive child that's making up something about that lives outside of reality. If you're 38 years old and you get in a car accident, most of what you've made up about that situation is accurate unless you were inebriated, and that's why you got in the accident in the first place, right? So looking back at precognitive subconscious and precognitive unconscious traumatic states of expression, I feel like the body of light is the most handy tool, because we forget what we made up because our conscious mind has very little access. Like, think about how many humans can name, 500 experiences that they had between womb and 3.5. Very few can remember 2 or 3. So that means there's lots of things that you experience that you have no memory of. Well, the good thing is, during a transmutative meditation, we get the body to locate those things, because it certainly remembers where every one of those experiences are. And there's a reason why it keeps those experiences away from your conscious mind, because it would be too confusing to try to understand reality through the mind of a precognitive child who believes that fantasy is real. But what we can do is we can then get into, some Ma'Xing, right? I think probably next best step, Ma'Xing, like getting into all the structural tissues and pulling out that excessive amount of discomfort and pain and lack of health and toxicity that's sitting in those tissues, because it's disrupting the natural flow of energy. And anytime you disrupt the natural flow of energy, what's going to happen? You're stressing yourself out. Yet this is happening at a deep subconscious level that you're unaware of. And yet your brain knows, your heart knows, for sure, all of your organs know. And then I think of the next most powerful practice is Bestercise, because that gives you the tool to work on yourself. I really believe in some of the things that were fed to me. I was raised in a non-denominational church, went to boarding school in Pennsylvania and Hershey. And there was something that stuck with me. And one of the things that stuck with me is God helps those who help themselves, right? I thought, okay, God helps those who help themselves. Well, I guess I went to church 10 years every Sunday, only missed once because I was sick. So imagine how many times I heard that story, right? So that was fed into me. And of course, I took it to the extreme, right? And it took me a while to let people into my process to be able to help me. Yet, I do believe there's intense amounts of value in getting up on a daily basis and spending 15 minutes opening up your body and reducing the stress in your organs by reducing the excessive amount of heat and cold that's been trapped in these different parts of your body, so that you can move into a state of neutrality. Imagine if you're in neutrality before you get in your car to go to work. Imagine how easy that drive is. Even if it's a long drive, it's a much easier drive. But when you're out of neutrality and you're in vested interest because you're rushing around, of course, what's going to happen? Everybody's going to take their time at the stop sign because everybody knows you're rushing around, right? And now you're upset, you're a little bit triggered, you're more stressed. Now you're yelling at people with your windows up who you don't even know because they took a little too long at the stoplight for you. So I think if you're going to start your day off and you're going to get the most out of your day, you're going to get the most out of this life expression, Bestercise is the key. And our bodies, as they get older, without concerted effort, they get weaker. Our bodies, as we get older, without concerted effort, they get tighter, right? Our bodies, as they get older, without concerted effort, they get more distorted. And so if you want to maintain that youthful, vitalized spirit, and you want to have a strong sexual connection to your partner the whole of your life, you have to have energy that flows in and out of your, what they would call in Chinese medicine, your conception vessel, or your dew meridian. Because all electromagnetic energy, right, begins with the dew and the ren. The dew and the ren, the governing and the conception. So if the dew and the ren are responsible for feeding all of the other organs in your body with electromagnetic energy, and they're never being fed, imagine the little morsel of energy that the rest of your body's getting. You know, you might need 100 watts and you're existing off 2. Imagine what it'd be like to have 30, right? How good you'd feel, how inspired you feel. The TV, you get rid of your cable tomorrow, okay? Because you'd be like, oh, I got all these great ideas. I want to create. I'm impassioned to continue to add value. But when you're surfing from one moment to the next, half dead, okay? And you need some kind of energy drink to get out of bed, to get a shower, we're on the opposite side of the spectrum that we could be. And so your morning Bestercise routine is pretty much going to guarantee that you start your day with a really good, solid day. Quiet mind, super energized, grounded emotions, excitable and hungry for your day, and a very comfortable, strong body. Because you know, as a man, when you're in the world and you feel strong and you feel confident, the women in your life, they feel safe. And what could be more powerful than to help all the women in your life that you care about, whether it's your sister, your mom, your grandmom, your co-workers, your girlfriend, your wife, to get them to feel safe. Because when you're potent as a man and you're energized and you're grounded and you're on point, everyone around you feels good to be around you. So a 15-minute investment into allowing the people in your life to feel safe, allowing a massive amount of productivity and to be enjoying while you're producing, right? And to have access to high-level emotions, like passion, like freedom, like hopefulness, like intimacy, like sensuality, like grace, care. Man, you're living the high life, right? And this is when your body's operating like this, the other things that matter, that used to matter to you, they matter less. And because they matter less, you have them more. What do I mean by that? I mean, when you're out of flow, you look at other people's lives and you say, oh my God, if I just had more money, my life would work out. And the opposite is also true, meaning that if I had more flow, then guess what I would automatically have? I would automatically have more money, because what's money an indication of? The amount of flow state that I have inside of me. And so when
it's not of value that you bring to other people?
That's inherent. That's going on all the time, right? Well, what I'm talking about is a little bit different. And what I mean is that when you're in flow, the things that used to matter to you, they no longer matter to you. Because they no longer matter to you, you have them. But when they matter to you and you're chasing them down, you're trading time and energy for resources. And that's going to drain the life force out of you. But when your focus is on growing yourself and then adding good, powerful value to other people's lives, the end result of that is, guess what? You also end up with access to a bunch of resources to make your dreams come true, because people trust you and they're inspired by you and they want to invest in being around you because you lift them up because you're up. But when you're down, you lift them down. See? So when you're up, you lift them up. When you're down, you push them down. So what's the point of focusing on your growth? Everything around you gets better. Everything around you gets better. We live in a world where people exchange time and energy for resources. And that's a difficult game to play if every decade you have less energy. Right? Now I'm a little older, I got a little less energy. Now I have less energy, I have less energy to manifest what it is I really want. And so I have to work harder, right, to produce the same amount of result. What I'm talking about is evolving so that as you're aging, you're spending a fraction of the energy that you were before, and you're producing an exponential amount more. Right? There's what people will consider like a flow state. That's something that they know of. I'm talking about something they have no idea of because none of them have actually ever attained it, right? And so Bestercise will guarantee you that you have an opportunity to flow into an exponential flow state, which means very little effort and a massive amount of return. Whether that's love, whether that's grace, whether that's power, whether that's skill, whether that's intellect, whether that's information, whether that's emotion, right? You're putting in very little of your effort, but it feels like a lot to them, okay? In return, they're giving you a lot. And it's being inspired by love of yourself, right? And this is where, and we mentioned this in an episode earlier, where you look at selflessness and you look at selfishness. And I put more of an effort and energy on, look, you need to be selfish so that you can be selfless. Right? Because when I'm selfish and I'm guaranteeing that I have more energy, I have more energy to give. I can feed a lot more people. If I could feed 300 versus 3, I'd rather feed 300. If I can inspire 1 million rather than inspire 10, I'd rather inspire 1 million. We've got how many people on the planet? Close to 8 billion or something, right? So every bit of effort that I put into myself, I know it's impacting the whole. And that inspires me more. In Bestercise, you can do it in the airport. If you're really bold and your back hurts, you can do it in a restaurant, okay? You can do it in your yard. You can do it when you're hiking. You can do it when you're camping. You can do it at work. You can do it at the gym. You can do it in your spare bedroom. You can do it in your living room. Bestercise, you can do anywhere as long as you have a small amount of space. And you can totally light yourself up from top to bottom. Turn on all the channels. Get full expression of all your power, all your might.
So would you say that love is one of these binding principles?
Love, I mean, it's in order to be able to invest in yourself, you have to be bound to love. Because without being bound to love, your interest in yourself and your growth is very small, right? It's always relative. And so how do we grow our love? Well, maybe you don't have a little bit of love, right? You don't have a little bit of interest. Well, good. Then spend 5 minutes, right? Open up your stomach and your spleen, right? Bent knee, wall push, wide leg, spleen, and pancreas, right? Open up those 2 channels, the channel for clear communication, authentic self-expression. And if you're feeling a little more jazzy, you got an extra 2 or 3 minutes, pop up into a handstand, right? Leaning up against the wall. Stay up there for 10 or 15 seconds, right? Activate your lung chi, your sense of power in the world. Like, get that activated inside yourself, and then go out in your day and watch how many people respect your boundaries. Everybody. Because they say, hey, ooh, wow, this is an empowered man moving down the street. I'd like to get to know him. Right? Wow, it's so weird. When I'm around you, Danny, I always feel safe. Why do you feel safe? Because your lungs are empowered. Right? You've turned that part of yourself on, and once it's on, it's on. And you spend a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, get a big result.
So transmutation, then body of light bath, right?
No. If it were me going back 25 years in time.
I see. So
right?
Those would be the ones you would pick.
The ones I would start with would be body of light, then I would shift over to Ma'Xing, meaning I would allow people to come in and work on me, because the way that I started out working on myself, right? So I was solo, and that fed my state of hyper independence. And in order for me to learn how to be in a more functional relationship, I have to learn a strategy of interdependence, allowing someone to come into me and help me. So those first two systems that I would start for myself, with myself, would be Body of Light and Ma'Xing. And then I would switch to Bestercise, get myself going, and then I would shift on to Ice-centric strength and invite somebody else in again to help me, so I could access even more of my power, my inner power, more of my inner strength, more of my inner happiness, make bigger changes faster, right? And then I would add Sha'King medicine as something fun to do at the end of my daily program for myself.
Interesting. What do you do now, you yourself, on a regular basis?
On a regular basis would be my Bestercises, right? That's going to be my go-to. If I'm in a city where one of my practitioners is, I'm going to call one of them up and invite them for us to gather together, work on each other, right? And then I'm going to get some eccentric strength. I'm going to be able to get some Ma'Xing in. And then the other one that I do, I typically always do some level of transmutation before I go to sleep, or some level of attunement. Because I like to utilize those 8 hours to be really beneficial. Like, do I just want to sleep in abstract thought, or do I want to be healing and integrating and getting more intelligent? I want to be healing, integrating, getting more intelligent when I sleep, and waking up on fire. So even if I only sleep 1 hour, right? When I wake up, man, I feel great. If I sleep 3 hours, it might take me, a minute, two, boom, I'm flowing. And I'm awake the whole day. There's no like, oh my God, I need a nap. I'm so tired today. Oh, if I could just have a Coca-Cola. God, I could have a coffee, or I need a shot of espresso. No. If I sleep 2 hours, same thing. If I sleep 5 hours, the same thing. I feel good, I feel great every day, regardless of the amount of sleep I get, because my channels are open and the energy is flowing. And that short hour of sleep that I have, I give myself very specific attunements. So that even if I'm going to sleep for an hour, I know that I'm going to get at least 15 minutes of fourth stage regenerative sleep, which is all any human needs to recover from the stress that they picked up from the day before.
And this is something that you can teach people to do pretty quickly now?
No, very quickly.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Very, 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 very quickly. Now, things like that I rarely teach to other people, because then they'll use it like a crutch, and rather than prioritizing their rest, they'll use these tools that I have to avoid doing that, right? And so
who do you teach it to? Or maybe already students that want to become teachers, or?
Yeah, I teach it to people who prioritize their sleep, right? And then they say, well, I have to get to the airport early today, and I'm getting to bed late because of work. Then I may teach them. But for someone who struggles with sleep and who finds it difficult to understand the importance, I would never teach them a tool like that, because they're going to abuse it. And so I want people to use it that have a good relationship with sleep. And so I'm very mindful of what I teach to people.
I see.
Yeah, it's case by case dependent.
So how do you said 90 days is the time that you basically follow up with people after you teach them?
Yeah. So I put them on a 90-day program.
98?
90-day program.
90 day, okay.
Right.
Which means that you're with them, they can contact you.
Yeah, I mean, we're tuning in every day for 90 days. They send me a text. It could be about their program, could be how they're feeling. They're letting me know that they have built their inner self-esteem by agreeing to complete what we agreed to do together. And by doing so, one, it lets them know that somebody cares, to check in with them every day. Some people, they write me like literally 10 paragraphs. I read every word, right? Other people write me three words: happy, grounded, complete, right? And so typically that's my transpersonal beings. And then my ones who are super personal, they tell me everything that's going on, right? So what's important for me is that they know that I care beyond the process that we went through to get them where they are. And some people, guess what? 5 years later, they're still checking in every day.
And this is where you follow up about whatever it is. If it's their sexual relationship, if it's at work, career, all of these things.
Whatever's going on, and I give them a very quick response, right? Like, okay, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Because I teach them, especially the athletes that I work with, I teach them so they can solve their own problems, right? Because, well, they're athletes. It's very different when somebody comes to me and they're like, oh man, my back is stiff all the time. And I have no reason to understand why, and they're not an athlete. Well, once we get them out of that stress state, right, their back feels great. And I've taught them the things they need to do in order to keep that balance. But athletes, they're tearing their body up every day, right? They're always going beyond what their body can effectively process in a healthy way. They're going well beyond that every single day. So injuries are going to ensue. So what is it that I need to do? I need to be able to assess quickly what I have to teach them. So when they send me a text, hey, it's difficult for me to turn my neck to the right, I need to be able to go, hey, Jake, do this, and this, and send me a text. Let me know if it's solved it. They send me a text. Yep, I'm totally good. Okay, when that comes up again, you know what to do now, right? Yep, got it. Because I want to utilize my time, and I want to utilize their time in an efficient way. And so that's where teaching them is highly beneficial. Because I want to get them to the place where they're never texting me. Their shoulders in pain, and they're like, what do I need to do? Oh, I need to do this, and this. Boom. I don't need to hear about it. In the beginning, they have to tell me about it because they have the information, but they don't know how to structure it or strategize it to produce the result they need to get out of pain. Most of the athletes that I teach, all they want is greater performance. The challenge is with greater performance also comes usually more pain because they took their body beyond their capacity to express itself. And I want them to know, one, that I care, and two, that it's possible for them to figure out their own challenges, right? So there's stages to this. I stayed connected to people for a long time. Like I've got people I've been working with for 12 years. Okay? 12 years straight. All right? Why? Because I care about them, right? They know that I care about them. And they want to grow. They keep seeing every day, every week, every month that life is getting better. So they keep coming back to the well. And I keep feeding them. And that's why I continue to keep working on myself with the things that I taught them. Because I have to stay ahead of them to be able to continue to add value to their life. Can I be the person I was in 2014? And they met me in 2013? And I'm still adding value to their life? And they've surpassed my development? No. Now I'm hiring them to help me. Okay? So I'm very motivated. Every week, I think it's important for people to receive from other people. Whether that's from an art teacher, right? Whether that's from some form of healing, some form of exercise, some form of mental gymnastics that they're learning. Like they're constantly receiving from other people and constantly growing, because we're in this time where we can do this. This is the first time this has really opened up. So I'm like, well, let's take it to the edge. Let's see what we can really do in this body in this lifetime. And this is where true body intelligence and the suite of systems within true body intelligence are extremely beneficial, because every day they answer the call. Every day they answer the call. I can't tell you how many couples I teach. Let me teach you how to do Ma'Xing. You're going to turn on a movie once a week, and you're going to mosh each other. And what I do, once a week, they turn on a movie that's an hour and 30 minutes to 2 hours or 2.5 hours, and they sit there and they mosh each other. He works on her for 20 minutes. She works on him for 20 minutes. She works on him for another 20, and they just keep going back and forth. And by the end of the movie, they enjoyed the movie, but they got this really deep personal connection that's on a whole nother level. I use my life force and my energy to make you feel better.
Yeah. The Ma'Xing sounds like a lot of fun.
Dude, you and your girlfriend, I'm telling you, you will love it.
You have to show me.
You will love it. You will love it. She will love it. Well, at first, she's going to be like, what the hell are you doing? This really hurts, right? Yet in the end, after you get through that 4 or 5 times, she's going to be like, oh my God. You're going to look down, she's going to be asleep. You're going to go, hold on. 5 weeks ago, she was whining and complaining and screaming and breathing really intensely, and now she's snoozing, right? She's so calm and relaxed. That's the difference. And all it requires is a little bit of effort and time. And once you transmute this energy, again, I said this before, it would take a long time for it to come back. And so, you know, what we started out with was a question is what does it really take in order to implement this? A little bit of time, right? You got to be honest with what your schedule is. If you're a mother and you've got 4 kids and you have a part-time job, you got to be honest about what kind of time you have, right? And if all you have that week is time for a healing bath, then take the healing bath and feel good about it. Forget about feeling guilty about missing all the other things, right? And if this week you've carved out an hour for yourself, get in 20 minutes of Ma'Xing, get in 30 minutes of Bestercise, get in 10 minutes of Sha'King medicine, and maybe a healing bath on the weekend, and feel good about that. Because I promise you, the beautiful thing about true body intelligence is what you invest, you keep. Right? Other systems are different. If I go to the gym and I'm pumping that iron, okay, I'm going for a run every Sunday for 10 miles. Well, guess what? If I don't go to the gym and I don't run every Sunday, guess what starts happening? I start losing my cardio.
Oh, if you stop doing that, you still maintain what you can?
Yes, I start losing my muscle. Well, what happens when you get down with the systems in true body intelligence? You get what you keep. Meaning you keep what you put your effort into. So if I do my Bestercises and I open up my stomach channel stays open. You see?
And nothing can close?
Nothing's going to close up. See, I can go in there right now, right? I could miss doing my Bestercises for a month, and I go in there, I'm right where I left off.
So why are you still doing it?
Because it feels good.
Oh, I see.
Right? Right? It's like masturbating. Why do I do it? I do it because it feels good. That was supposed to be funny. What do you like? What the hell? You're supposed to laugh. It's okay. Don't care about what they think. I don't.
Oh, I
know
don't
about it.
It was,
Yeah.
I thought you were just like, you mean it. So it was like, it makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it feels good. Why is it? Why do you kiss your girlfriend? Your fiance feels good, right? Yeah. So when you're Bestercise, when you get in there, you get to the place where it feels good. You do it because it feels good, right? Yeah. The pain is no longer the motivator.
Right.
You see, the pain is gone.
It's because systems are dynamic, right? And the body is dynamic, but the channel works in a different way because the channel is either open or closed.
It's either open or closed. Once you open it, it's in flow. So meaning that, okay, so when you look at a channel of energy in the body, and this is good for all of you to understand, all of your organs have to have a way of dispersing the excessive heat and the excessive cold out of your system, right? So we're talking about electromagnetic energy. Now, if my channels, meaning my muscles and my fascia, are very short and tight, my stomach, my pancreas, my kidneys, my liver, my gallbladder, there's less space to disperse the excessive heat and the excessive cold. So now the excessive cold and the heat gets trapped inside. Okay? Now when I open the channel, the excessive heat and excessive cold, guess what happens? It goes out. And now when it's moving through and it's going out, it keeps the channel open.
I see.
You see? Well, guess what I'm doing every day? I'm eating, I'm drinking, I'm generating digestive energy every day. And that excessive heat that gets created, it has to go somewhere. Well, if my channel's closed, then guess what happens? It stays more closed. The next decade, it's more closed. The next decade, it's more closed. Because I have less potential energy to keep the channel open the way it was open when I was a teenager. So now once I open the channel at full throttle, now the excessive heat and excessive cold that's leaving, it now keeps the channel open because I'm constantly generating new energy every day when I'm doing things, right? My kidneys are filtering my blood, my heart's pumping my blood, my small intestine, all three sections are absorbing my food, my large intestine is eliminating it, my lungs are inspiring and expiring. Okay, so all of these functions are constantly going on, and all of those functions are work. So now when the channel's closed, where does that heat go? It's relative to how closed or open the channel is. So its job is to keep the channel open. But when I'm in a fear-based state of expression and I'm in fight or flight, the channels are constricting and they're closing. But when I open them, guess what I'm leaving? I'm leaving the fight or flight response. And now I'm moving into calm and grounded and openness. So now those channels, that energy that's flowing out, it's flowing. And now that it's flowing, the channel stays open. Yeah, because sometimes I'm really busy. I got things going on. And I put my leg up the wall and I go and I push back and I'm like, oh my God, this feels so good. And I mean, it literally gets to the place where the Bestercises feel so good, they feel as good as sex, right? I'm sorry if you're under the age of 13, you have no idea what that word means. But they feel as good as intimacy. Because you have that level of intimacy with your body. The sensations are so good. But you have to put the time in to get what's in there. What's in there? Pain. But that pain, is it from you? No, it's from your ancestors.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody you know, I promise you, they have this pain in their body. Once you take it out, your association to love is being catalyzed by love rather than by fear.
I see.
And the love keeps it open. Because now you're operating in a way that's high functioning behavior rather than low functioning behavior, which is catalyzed by fear. So now your flow is unencumbered. Because you're living your life, man. You're doing all the things you came here to do. You're being all the things you knew you could always be. And now the being is what keeps the channel open. But the second you drop into low functioning behavior, guess what happens to the channel? It shrinks, right? Because the body is an expression of your behavior. So now, let's take an example of that. You've been off the sauce, the booze, for 6 months. You've been on your Bestercise program, right? Every day you've been efficient, right? You've been consistent. You've been loving yourself. You're putting that 15, 20 minutes in. And then suddenly you go back for your sister's wedding, right? And they're shooting the booze around and your dad's like, look, man, you can have one drink. It's not that big deal. It's your sister's wedding. Just, it's celebratory. You're fine. You're a strong man. You've made good changes. And you're like, yeah, Dad, you're right. A little sip. Next thing you know, they're coming out the next morning and they're walking past the pool and they see you in your tuxedo sleeping by the pool, right? Still half dressed. Well, when you go back into your Bestercises the next morning, what do you think you're going to find? Pleasure or pain?
Pain, of course.
You're going to find pain, right? Because we get into low functioning expressions of behavior, our body, in a relative sense, drops back into that state of tension. Now, what's going to happen, which is great, the next day, when you do your Bestercises again, when you go back in, you're going to be back in pleasure. So now instead of it taking 6 months to open your channels, it takes a day. Because you've already done the hard work. So now, it closed a little bit, but now you open it right back up and you have the experience and you go, wow, now I realize why they say that an alcoholic can't even have a sip. They told me that in AA. Now I understand the importance of that. And instead of beating yourself up, you get the insight that you needed in order to grow to the next level. Because your channel's open again, right? Understanding who you are and how you operate in your day requires some inner honesty, right? And then I think that the biggest step that you have to take is you have to inform those who are in your family that you're going into a process of true transformation. And so you're going to be doing things different in your life, because if you don't inform them, they're going to give you resistance. Because the people in your life, they love you as you are. And so I was like, well, why does she or he want to change, right? We love you, we care about you. And so I think an important part of the step is informing the people around you that you're going to be making some credible changes in your life. You're going to be getting sober. You're going to be getting more present. You're going to be getting more active in your pursuit of mental wellness, physical wellness, and emotional wellness. And you're going to be developing yourself spiritually, because otherwise people aren't going to understand. And whatever your motivation is, have the courage to be honest with them. This is my motivation. I have no idea if it'll work. Yet I still feel this impulse deep inside of me to make some radical change. Because Mom, you may not see it or understand, but I know there's something meant for me that's bigger than the life that I've created. And at no point am I saying that your life is less than mine. I'm saying that I feel like change is necessary for me. And if you can summon the courage to have that conversation with yourself, to then take action to your benefit, then you might as well communicate it to the people that would give you the most resistance, because unless you inform people, they will always get in your way.
So basically, you have to be honest with yourself, and then you have to express that honestly towards the external world.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest pieces.
That's one of the biggest pieces, because it will do everything it can to get in your way. And once you inform it, you're putting your flag in the sand and saying, hey, this is my country, and I'm going this direction. And then it'll go, okay, Bob, thanks for letting me know. And now when you're doing things, then they're like, what's that weird stuff he's doing again? Or this seems a little strange. Or how come he isn't having this drink with us that he used to have? I used to love to meet him at Starbucks. We can go to Starbucks, he can just have tea, right? And so you want to let people know what you're up to, and then they can get on board. Otherwise, they give you resistance that you just don't need.
Well, that's a lot of insight, and that's a lot of wisdom to take in. So I think this is a good place to wrap this one up, and I'm excited to see what we're going to learn the next time.
Well, what we're going to learn the next time is a mystery. And so now you're going to have your mystery teaching. So now you get to go, oh, I have no idea. I hope it'll be good. So what we're going to teach you next time, you'll find out when you tune in next to the True Body Intelligence podcast. And we'll be waiting here for you. Thank you for tuning in to today's content. This will be made available in its full form of everything we put together for you at truebodyintelligence.com. And at truebodyintelligence.com, you can tune into my book, Free for Life, a U.S. Navy SEAL's unique journey to inner freedom and outer peace. And there I will teach you at a much deeper level. And this will be really, really, really good reference tool for you. Plus, the audiobook has an opportunity to allow you to start the program already by purchasing the one with the energetic integrations, and that will help you get started. All of this content will also be available on all major platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, and YouTube.